Boosting. It's the multi-million-dollar industry that sometimes verges into grey market that we all see but few understand. So, what exactly is boosting? Is it a valuable activity born of natural player interaction in an MMO? Or is it a something, a pay-to-win plague that is ruining WoW's endgame in ways that we cannot even imagine? Well, the answer really is a bit of both. But how does it actually happen and why? To find this out, we spoke to figures in the boosting community, some for, some against, even including pretty high up members. Today, we bring boosting to light. We're starting by talking about how it works and the actual business behind it, as well as Blizzard's frankly shocking management of issues such as RMT, to the point where even boosters are quite frustrated at them. This video is only part 1. Soon, we will have part 2, focused on the design problems that have caused boosting to be a big problem, and the in-game implications that we are all seeing. In many cases, we were, quite frankly, astounded by the professionalism and the incredible setup of these boosting communities. And if you want others to feel like that about you, you're going to need a great website with today's sponsor, squarespace.com/Bellular Gaming, where you'll get a free trial and code Bellular Gaming will get you 10% off your first purchase. Just use that link down below. Now, it's real simple. Squarespace are the fastest and easiest way for you to get a great looking site built quickly. I mean, I threw together this showcase site in about 40 minutes, as you've heard, chilled out, reclining with my iPad on the sofa. And it barely took any time to even add e-commerce to it. Incredible. Their award-winning templates are simply awesome. They just let you hit the ground running with something that looks great. And that's brilliant for somebody like me who's not a designer, but of course, you've got all that room to customize later. Now, your site is what people see of you online, so if you want your portfolio to stand out, then a gorgeous, clean, and content-first site is what you need. Of course, though, there is far more. Do you want a site for your business? Maybe a personal site. Maybe you're doing some e-commerce. They've even started a new memberships feature as well, if you want to try that. They've got the excellent site builder, easy-to-use tools, incredible templates. It's all you need to get started. So start your free trial at squarespace.com/Bellular Gaming and use that code Bellular Gaming to get 10% off your first purchase. Thanks to Squarespace for supporting this big old fun investigation, and let's get into it. So, why would people boost? World of Warcraft has, for years, been built around extrinsic rewards and material goals first. Rewards carry prestige among the community, which was always a testament to how World of Warcraft worked excellently as a virtual world. But once the desire for reward outweighs the desire to do the content, there will be a market for those who want the reward without the work. There are always a few stories to tell in a market. The buyer, in this case, is perhaps somebody who wants Keystone Master, who wants Curve, or a stack of loot without as much effort. Then there's the seller, someone who will put that effort in on the buyer's behalf, but they, of course, need their own reward. That will be the buyer's gold. Gold for raid consumables, for legendaries, for gold sinks like the Black Market Auction House, and maybe even some gold to sell on the side for a bit of real money. There's more to the motives and the market. A lot more. And that's how we get to the multi-million-dollar situation. But to understand that, you'll first need to actually understand what it's like on the inside. The quickest way to explain it is like this. When you've got buyers and sellers, they need to be matched up with each other. So this has made boosting communities like Hukan, Starlight, and Oblivion crop up to do just that. Think about how Uber works. All you have to do is tell the app where you want to go, give them some money, and they will handle the rest using the available drivers in their pool. That essentially is what boosting is like now. You send a request through to the community via an advertiser on Discord or in-game. That advertiser then logs your request, and a call is put out for boosters. Boosters respond to that call, and before long, there you go. You have a group set up. You can hop onto a Discord channel to talk about the specifics, and at the end, you can actually review your boosters based on your experience. You pay the gold to the advertiser, who hands it over to the boosting community. The boosting community then tracks everybody's activity via Discord bots and spreadsheets. Then, once payday rolls around, they dish out everybody's salary, and then the community keeps a portion for themselves. Boosters get a cut, but so does the advertiser. They set it up after all. During that run, if a booster makes a mistake, they will often be investigated, perhaps fined, or given a strike. If they get too many strikes, they'll be fined. And that means that you'll only ever be boosted by people who have been proven and curated. Which does sound great. Also, most of these services actually do involve you playing, so you actually get to experience the content, albeit with a bit less challenge and a lot less stress. But fundamentally, it's a lot like randomly getting an insanely good group in the group finder, but reliable, repeatable, and on demand. So to sum it up, they've made it convenient, low risk, and professional. Hell, if your run goes wrong, you could even get a refund. These communities have moderators, they have customer support staff, and of course advertisers, all so that you can have a good experience. They've got treasurers managing the gold, they have people running social media and branding, they have technical staff to set up the Discord bots, and their management backend. It's a big operation. So that's why people boost more now. It's not like doing something on a dodgy website back in 2008. Now, it is a very well-designed user experience. Now, to be clear, there is no doubt that boosting, in a way, perverts the very idea of aspects of World of Warcraft as a video game, and it is undeniably pay to win. But it's also a consequence of WoW being an MMO, with player-driven services and rewards that people want, but can't necessarily attain. Not to mention the community's unwillingness to take a chance on unproven players. In fact, paying a booster to get the curve achievement on your character early on in a raid tier could be the thing that unlocks you being able to do more actual raiding, as odd as that may sound. That is, however, a topic for another day, because right now we need to discuss the actual boosting business itself, its many quirks, and its many warts. Alright, let's be frank. We've been talking to a variety of people, including boosters, management, and even the owner of Hukan. And they all had a lot to say. To clear up some misconceptions though, let's define RMT, real money transaction, which usually applies to two things: paying directly for services, or paying directly for gold, with real life money. As we understand it, most of this is paying for gold, and that's where some gold-only claims become a smokescreen. Because boosters can 100% officially deal in gold. But buyers can buy gold with money, trade the gold for a boost, and then the boosters can sell that gold later for money via any number of services. It's dirty gold, but it is still just gold. Let's talk about the value of boosting. One source's estimate for the size of the boosting market is over 10 million euro per year. Yeah, so literally millions. This is split across a lot of people globally, but there are, reportedly, a select few making six-figure sums from running the show. Gallywix, for example, was apparently a huge payday for those at the top. Of course, until Blizzard banned them. Make no mistake, this is a serious industry with serious players. For some, it is in fact how they make a living, especially those in less well-off countries. Westerners paying for services at Western rates translates to a lot of money in some places. As an example, the Nova boosting community offers a Mythic plus 15 run for 270,000 gold. Assuming a player's cut is 20% of that 270k, they would earn about 54k gold. On our server, Ravencrest, buying gold usually seems to average out to about €1.35 per 10k gold. That is 54k gold, equating to €7.29. Now, let's be conservative and assume that selling gold only earns you 50% of the money and that the selling service perhaps pockets the rest. Well, that still is about €3.65 per dungeon. Now, if we actually look at Serbia as an example, €3.65 is worth around 420 Serbian dinars. The minimum wage is 175 per hour, and the average wage is around 400 an hour. So using some rough math, a Serbian player could do 1 Mythic Plus per hour, 40 hours a week, and make above the country's average wage. Now that said, we've been told that boosters themselves, the actual players, they're really not making out like bandits here. Of course, like in many situations, the real people making the profit are the middlemen, the people actually running things. The advertiser for Nova, in our example, would get a 10% to 20% cut of the gold for actually setting up the boost. They could then, if they're doing really well, set up multiple boosting runs per hour, and that, of course, would entail a lot less effort than actually running those dungeons as a part of the boosting labor force, meaning they would earn more per hour. One person we spoke to actually claimed to us to earn between €2,000 and €4,000 a month through organizing runs for only a few hours per night. In fairness, that's a pretty damn sweet hustle. I think we can all agree. Another said they could make over €100 a night from boosting at the right times, and around €20 an hour from farming gold in Classic when TBC launched. Again, nice hustle. Having skin in the game like this can also cause some spicy situations. We heard one tale of a boosting guild actually taking revenge for missed payouts by, from what we heard, some doxing and threatening going on. But back to RMT, the real money transactions. Its prevalence in boosting is interesting. Ex-boosters told us that while nobody ever says anything publicly, a lot was obvious. Like known boosters showing up to raid, being unable to afford consumables, despite it being very public knowledge that they were paid a whole bunch of gold from their boosting salary that very week. So the question then is, if they can't afford their consumables, where did the gold go? We've outright been told, quote, there is no clean gold boosting, and that source did sort of indicate most named communities. If you're involved in boosting and not making money, some people would say that you're just making money for somebody else. So, how do people actually sell the gold? That's a big question that I had, and I'm sure that you have as well, because you can't just start trading gold. That stuff is all tracked and scrutinized via automated systems. Well, one way is at the payment stage. Advertisers and buyers can privately discuss payment, gold or cash. If the buyer pays the advertiser in cash, and then the advertiser pays the boosting community they work for with their own gold, well, once these advertisers know who can do RMT, then they know they've essentially got a whale. Then, the only two people who have knowledge of the money, the real money changing hands, is the advertiser and the payer. Everything else goes on normally, and you never have to deal with an outside seller. It's really smart, and in a way where, for some of the boosting communities, it's extremely hard for them to actually track and fix. And from a lot of the people we talk to, they genuinely do want to track and fix those problems because they don't seem to like it. Another way is one that shocked us. We've been told that Blizzard do not track guild transfers. So, put a lot of gold in a guild bank, give somebody withdrawal permissions, or the guild themselves, and that's that done. Apparently, this is invisible to Blizzard's automated auditing. So, this is actually, reportedly, how most large gold transfers are done. Then, there is gold laundering via WoW token. Buy WoW token, turn them into Blizzard balance, then buy gift copies of Battle.net games, and then sell those on reselling websites. Technically, that is not RMT. It's just against the spirit of the system. And in a way, it does mean that if you farm up a whole bunch of gold, you can get some real money out of it. Probably not at the best pay rate, let's be real. And with all that said, we haven't even talked about pure gold selling itself or pure RMT boosting. But those are nothing new. There are a ton of websites that you can just go and, buy from or sell to. The fact they still operate after all of these years proves that they're doing at least something. Oh, and as for WoW token, well, apparently it is only a small portion of how gold is moved. An extremely rough estimate that we were given was around 30%, with the rest being RMT. Now, I wouldn't put a massive amount of stock in this, though, as nobody knows for sure, but it is a multi-million market. 30% of that is still quite a lot. The last thing, and it's more of an aside in terms of scope, there are also streamers who will boost people in return for subs and donations. Which essentially, yes, it's a donation, but come on, let's think. Boosting is everywhere. Basically, you just need to look for it. As horrible as this all sounds, remember, this is one side of the argument. We do not claim to be serious investigative journalists, and no one has offered us extremely hard evidence on a platter. So this is primarily us talking with people involved in the scene to varying degrees and trying to work out what's going on. We have spoken to community leaders for their side of the story, though, so I think we should cover that next, because it's also very interesting. For boosting communities, their survival depends on how far they can be removed from RMT. Blizzard are actually given access to spreadsheets and internal tracking tools that these communities use in order to audit them when necessary, so as to ensure that no gold is missing. Hukan, in particular, who we talked to, said that by bringing boosting into the light, they can actually help players avoid RMT and remove bad actors like scammers from the picture. When asked what they actually do to root it out, they said that they basically ensure that there is a culture of investigating suspicions within their organization, and that when evidence is found, they remove people and they actually pass evidence on to their Blizzard contact so that in-game bans can be set up. In a community of somewhere around 56,000 players, 56,000, they have actually removed 700 RMTers in total, so not bad. Hukan also provided some example prices, claiming that they intentionally undercut RMT-based competitors so that basically gold prices paid for through WoW token are cheaper. Now, obviously, this does not account for buying gold through RMT and then passing that along to Hukan, but it's not like that's something that they can track as an org. So to this end, they hope to push the less reputable vendors out of the market entirely. It's kind of like the popular idea of legalization replacing the black market. As to whether that actually happens or not, especially in this case, it's obviously hard to know. Anyway, Hukan at least is publicly sure in their mission to stamp out RMT and has provided evidence of their efforts, actually naming one RMT booster they caused to shut down. So that's their take. Another community, Starlight, reached out for a conversation with us as well. They were very open about the difficulty, actually, behind keeping RMT out. Like, buyers bringing in dirty gold. But they are proud to report that they haven't had any Blizzard bans hit their community for over a year, while they say that other communities experience it regularly. In general, the perceived level of professionalism from the people we talk to here, I mean, it is quite impressive. You know, they put advertisers through specific RMT avoidance training. They collect gold from only verified characters, and the admins even personally verify every transaction. I think that is the sorts of things that people would want to hear. But there is one burning question we had on our mind. Earlier on in this video, we explained why the sellers and the buyers do boosting. But why the hell do the organizers need all of this gold? Is WoW Gold really worth putting all of this time and effort into? It's obvious to anyone that they must be doing it for the money. So we just decided to be upfront and ask, how do they justify it without them getting paid? Or their staff getting paid? Then, as to how they justify their time, well, they have over 60 staff on board and ensure that each member only has a few hours of work to do per week, which essentially means that nobody has got to invest too much of their time. And it was stressed to us that no one does it professionally, that it's a hobby project for everybody involved. Over at Starlight, they say much the same. They pay out gold for staff to get trading card game mounts, black market auction house items, and Battle.net balance, but that it's mostly a passion project by like-minded people. Now, you can choose whether to believe that or not, but it is what they say. According to Hukan, they keep their costs to almost zero. Free hosting services are used to host everything except their website, which the owner pays for out of pocket. They pay all of their staff in gold, and they try to ensure that staff don't then go and sell that gold on. As for why they do it, well, it's for gold and entertainment. The way that it was explained to us is that it's basically another way to play World of Warcraft. The same reason why somebody may choose to lead a guild in WoW or to be a mythic raider. They do it as a part of their game experience. And a degree of that is certainly quite understandable. I mean, you build a big, cool organization. You see it thrive. You see your numbers go up. You get a whole bunch of gold. In much the same way that there are people who just enjoy gold farming and playing the auction house, even though they're really earning more gold than they can realistically spend in the game. One of the overall things we've heard is that these communities are just that, communities. Like a guild formed around a specific goal, they work together and ended up becoming friends. And that means that to many staff, boosters, and boostees, they are places to hang out, to meet people, and to play the game together. I mean, if you're doing a bunch of boosted raids with a bunch of other incredible raiders and you've got good camaraderie, you could certainly see that being a fun experience. Hell, people on both sides of the fence have told us that they believe that boosting is actually helping to keep World of Warcraft alive for what they see as being a massive portion of the players. Boosters find competition and camaraderie, and as for the boostees, well, they can finally get groups to do content and a lot more. We'll cover these impacts in a good bit more depth in part 2, but it's worth saying that boosting does have a few positives. Sadly, we cannot ignore the fact that the act itself introduces the concept of pay to win in a way that hurts the integrity of World of Warcraft's gameplay in a few aspects, that bad actors can profit from it, that token is a way for Blizzard to profit from the pay to win side, and that it's nigh impossible to distinguish a community that is feigning innocence from one that is genuinely trying to be clean. It's a bit of a he said, she said, without any significant evidence, so in a way, feel free to come to your own conclusions. As it stands, boosting communities aren't doing anything wrong by the letter, unless they're involved in RMT. And in an ideal world, Blizzard would be able to snuff out the RMT. Sadly, Blizzard can't, or maybe won't. As it stands, boosting communities are a symptom, they're not really a disease. One of the bigger issues here is that Blizzard does not have a real policy on boosting or on pay to win, That is quite obviously a major point of contention. A few things surprised me here, so let's talk about Blizzard Entertainment's role in this entire situation. Blizzard are barely involved, and that essentially is the problem. Before the time of the banning of the Gallywix boosting community, Blizzard was highly active and would engage with communities directly, auditing their transfers and informing them of any major bans coming their way and why those bans were taking place. After the banning of Gallywix, though, they've apparently cut contact and now just ban RMT whenever they can prove it internally. Obviously, this could coincide with Blizzard cutting non-development staff. Communities seem keen to help here from what we could tell, but communities don't really have the resources, and by not hiring the needed staff, Blizzard are actively letting RMT happen and the situation get out of hand. It is their world, it is their job to manage and police this stuff, and they are just not doing it. It's as simple as that. And I think you can see how maybe a big wig in Activision Blizzard making hiring and firing decisions would quite simply not understand any of this whatsoever and would basically be clueless, leading to issues for all of us on the ground. Apparently, and this was a little bit surprising to me, evidence of Gallywix engaging in RMT was provided to Blizzard months before Blizzard made their move. Blizzard basically was just kind of lying on it. Blizzard only finally acted when somebody threatened to post all of their evidence on Reddit and make it go public. Once that threat was made, somehow Blizzard decided to start actually taking action. Since then, Blizzard have been given evidence of many, many more, but they've done nothing to follow up. In general, Blizzard buries their head in the sand, and Blizzard continues to profit from WoW token, and make no mistake, the entire boosting economy makes a lot of money for Blizzard via WoW token. So they do have a financial incentive to basically just let it all roll. The same applies to bots. Bots generate an obscene amount of gold in World of Warcraft. For every group of bots just farming mobs for raw gold, your gold on your character right now becomes less valuable because of inflation. Hundreds of thousands per hour, 24/7. Ever feel poor in WoW? Ever feel more poor over time? That's why. Because Blizzard let bots infest their game. What has this got to do with boosting, then? Well, if you need a ton of gold to match bot inflation, you can either buy it or make it. Not everyone can afford to buy gold. Not everybody would actually enjoy farming gold or playing the auction house, but maybe they're really good at the game, so they join a boosting community to earn some gold. There are some more insidious ways that Blizzard are enabling it as well. Gold requirements, effective gold requirements to do things, the game's reward design, interface, community, etc. Those things are out of scope today, so look forward to our follow-up video diving into the design aspects that basically allow for all of this to happen. Finally then, WoW token. This certainly tipped the scales. Now, paying money for gold is acceptable in-game, so whales can legally be rich without earning it. Now, other players value gold more because it can become Battle.net balance or game time. Some people will even buy a gift code, throw it in G2A or something like that, and try to make a little bit of side cash. And Blizzard profit from every one of those things sold. Boosting took off, reporting it did nothing because it all looks above board, and before we knew it, our game looked somewhat unrecognizable. Hell, even if RMT magically ceased to exist, there would still be a conversation about boosting in the game, because it still would be, in a way, undeniably pay to win because of WoW token. We'll examine the impacts of gold generation and pay to win in depth in our next installment, so hold tight. First, I want to talk a bit about solutions. Here's what we think is a deep truth. Blizzard cannot solve boosting. At least not without radically changing how the game works. This is an MMO. I should be able to trade your character some gold in return for you giving me a hand. That seems like a reasonable thing to happen in a virtual world with a virtual economy. A goods sector that we see in the auction house, and a services sector that we sort of now see in boosting. The damage to how people play, in a way, has already happened. However, what Blizzard can do, is mitigate the problem quickly and support the good parts of boosting while they're at it. Our immediate proposal is going to be controversial here. It could be to legitimize boosting somewhat. Basically make it a bit of a service that people can pay for in-game, maybe give it an opt-in chat channel, and ban service advertising from trade chat. Give it a tab in the group finder. Just call it services. Maybe somebody could list that they are willing to provide a service, or maybe if you, let's just say, you want to do some Mythic Antorus, but you need a +1 and you can't really find anyone, maybe? I mean, why not just get them in trade chat, but you get the point. In a way, that would help to solve the usability problem that the game has right now, because there's advertisements sort of flooding everywhere, without stepping on anybody's toes. I suppose, as the saying goes, if you can't beat them, maybe give them a chair in the corner so that you don't have to look at them. For a quick bit of personal opinion here, because I do want to throw some personal opinion in here, I fundamentally do think that player-driven goods and services sectors are important parts of a virtual world. The issue really is that while hiring some muscle to protect your haulage ship in EVE Online, or maybe, do a hit on an EVE player who ganked you, that makes sense for an open-world sandbox game. But World of Warcraft is a theme park MMO with very, very different goals, and that's basically the issue. Having a goods sector is very easy to do right in a theme park MMO. Having a services sector is pretty easy to do in a sandbox, and I think a lot harder to do in a theme park MMO, while still keeping the core of things be uncorrupted in terms of the game's progression and rewards. And then magnify that 10x when WoW Token exists. And because it's theme park versus sandbox, there's a pretty big difference between WoW Token and Plex in EVE, which is its equivalent. Now, the next part is going to be difficult and costly, but it needs to happen. A complaint that we heard from a community owner is that Blizzard quite simply does not have enough support staff, and that the staff that they do have are not trained. So Blizzard needs to staff up on game masters and train them how to investigate and remove RMT. These GMs also need to be active in chasing down bots, because it's clear their automated and engineered solutions aren't quite cutting it yet. I mean, trade chat for some has been unusable for months, if not years at this point. It's flooded with advertisements for boosts and the like, and they don't seem to have taken really any action on any of this. They've just let it lie. It's perhaps as if those designing the game are just not particularly concerned, or maybe are being told to not budge in too much because WoW Token's doing well, though that latter point is perhaps me just being a cynic. We also know that bans are essentially pointless right now. This is an important thing. Hardware IDs can be spoofed, and new accounts are extremely cheap compared to how much money can be made, right? I think some people see this even within the boosting that exists for World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade Classic. Blizzard needs to up their game on all levels to target bots, target RMT, and continually nuke them. That's essentially that. Otherwise, the players of their game will continue to suffer, and the integrity of aspects of their gameplay will erode. Honestly, that is most of it. At least on the RMT and dark side. As for the game's design, they have a ton of work to do on rewards, on content, and on general gameplay. If more and more players are spending money to boost instead of engaging with the game properly, then the core design has essentially failed. It's failed as a game. We've been talking for a while though, so let's wrap up this part. I don't want to put our video editors through any more punishment. There's boosting, what's wrong with it as an industry, what is right with it as an industry, and hopefully enough information to help you come away with this with just more of an understanding of what's actually going on. My personal hope is that when you see the next boosting advertisement in-game, you'll actually understand what's going on behind it. There is a multi-million-dollar market in your game. It's a market that makes the game worse for some, fun for others, with many making gold, plenty of people getting achievements they didn't really earn that much, and a few people making a big fat stack of cash. Although boosting does have its advantages to some, I think overall, in a way, it needs addressed. We need to work out where it fits in the game, and more important than anything else, the prevalence of pay to win needs to be sorted out. It can make WoW feel like Korean shovelware. That's not what we want, because we love WoW, and we want its integrity as a virtual world to remain. So that will be addressed. Look out for part 2. Now, if you have any further experiences with boosting, do let us know. A whole bunch of people reached out to us based on me and Matt chatting about just some cursory opinions on boosting on our stream. Perhaps this video will get a larger reach. So if you're adamantly against it, if you're for it, if you're in the middle, if you feel like we've not given you a fair shake of the stick, if you feel like there's other information we should know, do let us know. So that's basically that. Thank you for watching. A massive thank you as well to all of the sources who reached out to us and just gave some time to help us understand this for our little investigation. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to chat. So that's that. Have a wonderful day. A massive thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. If you want a quick website that looks way better than a quick website, just go to Squarespace. Problem solved. Links down below. Might go get you 10% off. So, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Look forward to part 2. I'll see you next time.